Why do you think you're only the second footballer to come out?
I mainly think it's the atmosphere of football, of the locker room and in the stadiums. It's growing up, or at least for me, it was growing up as a footballer and hearing things in locker rooms that really scarred me and made me believe that it wasn't possible.
What, homophobic comments?
Yeah, homophobic comments, yeah.
Was this because they were directed at you, or that was just general talk?
Yeah, general talk. General talk, for example, like how someone could even be gay. Like that would be a discussion in a football, locker room.
How did you feel when you heard that?
I felt awful. Of course, but I would avoid the conversation. I would go more into myself and, repress that kind of stuff. So it got to a point when I was 24, 25 that I was like, all right, I can't live this way.
And you came out just after you announced your retirement, same sort of time?
Yeah, I came out to my family in October, November, and just made a plan to how I was going to come out and stop football, and I didn't really know what the reaction would be. I didn't.
What was the reaction?
Very, very supportive, which was the exact opposite that I thought would happen. And my family, from the first second I told them, was very supportive, and that's in the end kind of why I went back to football.
You worry about how the fans would have taken it if you were still playing?
In England, yeah. That's a great question. No one's done it, so that was my fear. Is I had no one to look up to test those waters for me before I went out there. I did it back in the U.S. because there's not as big of a spotlight, in football. My family's in LA, so if I was really struggling, I could always just go home. But eventually someone will do it, and footballers will do it, and that will be interesting to see.
By the law of averages, there must be lots of gay men playing football. Do you ever come across them?
No, I haven't come across. I haven't received a letter or a text or anything from one footballer that wanted to talk about those kind of issues. I've received phone calls, and I've spoken with all my friends here in the UK and around the world that have supported me, but I haven't had one message from a footballer. What do you deduce from that? It reminds me of the fear that I had, and it's like sometimes you forget when you're on the other side, but you remember that atmosphere and how it made you feel. Because
by the law of averages, there are lots of gay footballers.
Yeah, I know, but that just shows what the problem, that there's a huge problem, and what do you do to change that? Is you try to support them to create an environment that is that would support them to come out and that they would feel comfortable in, but it's really tough. It's tough.
Do you, in any sense, wish you had done it while you were still an active player?
Well, I'm an active player now.
You are now, but at the time you said I'm quitting.
Yeah. No, I'm happy the way I did it. I got to step away and kind of take some time to myself. I didn't have people dragging me to do interviews or do anything like that, and I was in total control. I could say whatever I wanted to say.
Yeah, but clearly you feel now you've got some sort of duty.
Yeah, no, I do. I know, and I realize that I'm the only one that's doing this. So, after months of kind of taking some time myself and receiving letters from people, I realized that I was being a coward by not going back to football, and I missed it, and it was something that I've done my whole life. So, I did feel, a responsibility. And
what was it like when you discovered that your anxiety about how people would react had been misplaced?
Yeah. There's two sides of it. Sometimes people say, do you think footballers make a bigger deal out of it than it is, or athletes? And I say, no, definitely not. There's obviously things that's the reason why they're not coming out, is because they hear so many things that scare them. But my mom said to me, I think, have you learned that you should give people a chance as well? Give people a chance to get to know you and to see that, yes, you're a footballer, you're gay, but there's, more sides to you. So I did learn that lesson from this, that, to be open with people and to give people a chance.
Were your parents surprised?
Yes and no. They say sometimes they were, and then like, yeah, but then you date a girl, so you threw us off. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. So that's what I've heard from everybody. I guess I was a good actor.
Do you think it's harder to come out if you're playing in a team sport as opposed to an individual sport?
I haven't played any individual sports, so I can speak from my experience, and my biggest fear was going back into a locker room and the thought of being treated as an outcast. That was the one thing I didn't want to do. So playing in a team sport, obviously you're dealing with all those personalities, people from all around the world.
Do you Is it, I mean, is it to do with being naked in the locker room together, or it's not that?
No.
It's
just sitting there with all the guys. Yeah, it's sitting there with all the guys and the banter and talking and trying to fit in and all that stuff. That's, you know, it's your team, it's your brothers. You fight every weekend to win a game together, and you know, to be outcasted from a group like that when you're there every day is awful. So, you know, I felt inside that way, but you know, I wasn't treated. No one knew I was gay. No one, you know, accused me or, you know, pointed a finger at me. But you know, they didn't know. You know.
Do you think it was an unfounded fear?
No, because it was the things that I heard my whole life that scared me. You know, I'm from a very conservative Catholic family in California, and I've been playing football my whole life. And the amount of things that I've heard in stadiums and in locker rooms just made me think that there's no way I can come out and play soccer.
But they're not talking about you.
I know, but they're still talking about, you know, people. They're talking about people on the streets. They're talking about how could you even be a gay man? How could you fall in love with a man? So I'm hearing these conversations, and I'm riding the bike, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, this is not an atmosphere for me.
But it wasn't, you know, in retrospect, it wasn't something you really needed to fear.
No, I guess if I maybe would have, you know, come out and been like, well, actually, wait, I think, you know, it would have been a bit awkward, but then maybe after a few days or a week, they would have gotten over it. So that's why I'm hoping that other athletes would do it.
Well, good luck to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.